good way for us to track what's going on and follow. So thank you all for your time. We greatly appreciate it. It is a necessary tool for us, but it also lets us keep up with you all and what you're doing and all that good stuff. And I do want to say I have a board member who is extraordinary at this, and it's Brent Barkin. If he spends 3 seconds on the phone with me, he records it. So I'm not saying y'all have to be Brent Barkin. That's an overachiever. But if you can just keep up with your time, we appreciate y'all tremendously. And thank you so much. We appreciate all you do for us.
And so as we get started, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Pittman and Brad Martin. They're both members of our community impact team and really program managers for Volunteer Connect. The goal of this training is for all of you to essentially, if you don't currently have a Volunteer Connect account, to create one today. So we will not be offended if you take your video off and start following along on your computer as Brad and Catherine walk you through the steps, because we want you to use this. And as Jill shared, tracking your hours not only benefits you in seeing the impact that you have in your community, but we use this data for several reports to show how involved our volunteers are. So, and again, I'm putting in the chat a link to a OneDrive folder that has the Cliff Notes and other supporting documents for this training. So Brad and Catherine, take it away.
Excuse me, is the link already in the chat? Because I don't see it.
I don't see
it pops up. It pops up. The access to the chat pops up when you join. So I put it in there a few times, and that's why I'm going to do it again in case you joined after I put it in there last time.
Okay.
And if you still don't see it, we can remedy the situation by emailing it out to everyone.
Okay, am I unmuted?
You are.
Oh, good. Okay, I can't tell. I've turned off my screen reader. For those of you who don't know, I'm totally blind and my computer talks to me, but I did not want it competing with me for your attention while I'm trying to talk to you. So I have turned off the screen reader, which means I'm literally flying blind, which is why Catherine's using the screen and driving for me. So I appreciate everyone being here. Volunteer Connect is a really awesome tool. And I think that a lot of people still don't know it exists. And there are several purposes for this training. Yes, we want you to create an account. Yes, we want you to use it. We also want you to know about it so that when you're out in the community, you can share with people what it does and how it's helpful to them. And there's just so much benefit here. So we're going to drive you through some of the steps and some of the features of the software. I'm going to start by asking you, though, if you have a browser window available, and this is why we wanted to do this at Zoom. We wanted you at your devices. We wanted you looking at your screens. I know most people don't want you looking at your own work during a meeting, but that's what we want you to do. So if you are able to do so, I would encourage you to open a browser window. You can use Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, whatever browser you're most comfortable using. And the address for Volunteer Connect has no www in it. If you're doing www, it's not going to work. It is volunteer, just like it sounds, volunteer.uwswa.org. And Tristy, you may want to put that in the chat as well, but it's volunteer.uwswa.org. That'll take you to Volunteer Connect. You can get there from the United Way website. I was just trying to save you a step. And if you don't have an account, you're limited to being able to browse the site for volunteer needs. Now, that's not to say there's not a lot to see. I looked about half an hour ago. There are 188 active volunteer needs listed in this system. So if what we tell people is, or what I tell people is, I call Volunteer Connect kind of a career builder for volunteer jobs. If you know anybody who wants to volunteer in the community, this is the place to go to find out who needs help, what they need, where you can volunteer. We want this to be a one-stop shop for volunteerism. And with 188 needs in the system, if you can't find something to do, I can't help you. And I'm tongue-in-cheek saying that, but seriously, there is just something for everybody. When you pull up this page, you can, under get involved, you'll see a link to show you volunteer needs. It'll say volunteer, and you can see needs from United Way. Yeah.
Oh, Brad, there we go. Catherine's pulling it up so that way
Right.
everyone can follow along.
Correct. That and what you'll see, there are needs from United Way. There are needs from partner agencies, and there are needs from other community agencies that are not United Way partners, but maybe community partners. And so you'll see a little bit of everything. And this is a free service to nonprofits to post their volunteer needs, to make people aware. And you'll see things ranging from one-day events to ongoing needs. When I post needs for my tax volunteers, hint, hint, if you want to volunteer to be a tax preparer, that's coming this week. I'll be posting that. Those have an end date, April 15th, right? And at least in theory, unless they extend the tax season next year. Some things are ongoing and they just keep happening forever and ever. So we want you to see that there are just tons of places to volunteer. You can do things to filter those needs, either by geographic distance or by age. If you have a high school student who needs service hours, if you are looking for certain types of projects, there are all sorts of ways to filter that list down to find something that will interest you. You can search by interest area. There are just a myriad. You can search for a phrase. You can search for the word food, and you can, search for, things to do with food insecurity. So if there's a particular area of volunteer work that speaks to you, you can find that. Now, as soon as you go to volunteer for something, it's going to make you create an account. So let's go back to the start page and let's look at where we can sign up. Now, there are two things you can sign up for. There's a sign up, and then there's a register an agency. You're not an agency in most cases. Agencies are the people who post the volunteer needs. There's a certain nomenclature or lingo that goes with using this, but you're signing up as a user. And I'm going to turn a little bit my head so I can look at another computer or listen to another computer. And I'm going to pull up so that I can read the screen, because I don't have the whole thing memorized. I'd love to say that I do.
So Brad, it
Yes.
says at the top of the page, you can hit the yellow sign up button,
Yes.
or you can hit the volunteer now,
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the middle of the page. So we'll,
And again, if you click on a need, you're going to get prompted to create an account or sign in anyway. So either way, however you get there, and we're going to create a fake user named practice user. If you want to take this time to go ahead and create an account, we would love that. Nothing would make me happier than to log into Volunteer Connect at the end of this and see a whole list of new names. So would love to have you. By the way, the information we collect here is strictly used by Volunteer Connect. And it's used in some very interesting ways. It helps try to find volunteer opportunities for you. It also allows us to send specialized needs to you based on whatever groups we connect you with. So if you're a board member, if you're a committee member, if you help on allocations, we can create groups and then provide private needs for you that only your group can see. And that's another advantage to having an account. And I'll explain in a little while why that's important.
yeah, go ahead and create your account like I'm doing.
Right.
First name, last name, email, your company.
And I will say, not everything is listed as required, but the more complete you make your profile and the little bit of time that you take with it, the more targeted and the more focused your results will be in terms of volunteer matching and things that are interesting to you. So go ahead and do that. And as I say, zip code, the reason we ask for that is because you can search for within 5 minutes, 5 miles or 10 miles of my home zip code. And that's why we ask for that.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
Okay, so once they put in their telephone numbers and all that,
Hmm.
next on the sign up screen is contact me in the event of a disaster.
Yes.
Why would one want to do that?
If you want to be involved in, say, I'm not supposed to say the H word, but you know what it is. Should something happen and there is a need for long-term recovery volunteers or people to manage, post-disaster occurrences, that would be it allows us to quickly find those people in an emergency who want to help in the event of a disaster situation.
Okay,
Brad, I have volunteered, I guess, for something in the past. I've already got an account, did not realize that I did. I have no idea how old the account is.
Yep.
But I actually, all I had to do was go in and needless to say, I didn't know what my password was. So
Right.
I was pleased to know that I already had one.
It may have been when you were helping with scheduling. We may have used it to register folks for shifts. And that's
It may have
probably
been.
why, Sharon.
It may have been.
Yep. And so you may already have one, and that's great. A lot of you may have them. And that's okay. It'll tell you because it goes by your email address. And by the way, if you change email addresses, somebody got married and changed their email, or you change organizations, or your company changes its domain name, all you have to do is log in under the old address, edit your email address, and now that's your new login. So it's very flexible. We used to have a system that was years ago, back before I was at United Way, that was really inflexible. And I was still logging in under my old email address 2 years later. It was crazy. And so when I asked them, I said, what happens if my email address changes? They were saying, well, you just changed your email. Like, what's the big deal? And I was in shock. So just thought you ought to know that. So you can continue to work through that process. Catherine, where are you?
yeah, so after the disaster question,
Mhm.
groups, club memberships, do we?
And you can probably skip that. I think that was an old relic from when before we had user groups that we could create. I love the question, how did you find out about Volunteer Connect? Because a lot of times people, find out in interesting ways, whether it's word of mouth or whether it's through a school or a meeting like this. So
Mhm. Oh yeah, you have to have a password.
you will create a password. It does not, I'd recommend using standard password. We all know what a password requires. It's not gonna hound you too badly about it, but
Okay.
oh, that's right. We had to add that I'm not a robot thing. I forgot about that.
Yes.
Is it telling you already have an account?
No.
Oh,
Me?
okay. Yeah.
No.
Okay. I forgot about that reCAPTCHA. We had to do that because computer systems were registering fake accounts on the system. You wouldn't believe that would happen something like this, but yeah, they were sure trying. So we had to institute that I'm not a robot thing. Sorry, I know those are annoying, especially the ones that make you count the stop signs. I don't think this one goes that far.
All right.
No.
So everybody, if you've gone this far, go ahead and hit create an account.
And it may be that you get some extra screens, like where you choose organizations of interest or areas of interest, and that's okay. That just helps, again, the system to say, hey, you picked interest of finance, so you might like this volunteer tax program, hint, hint. You picked, interest of homelessness, so you may want to volunteer for Project Homeless Connect. As needs get posted that seem like a good match, I hate to use the term eHarmony because that conjures up all kinds of other thoughts, but it does try to match you if it can with suggestions. It won't sign you up, but it may email you occasionally. It does not do it often. If you indicate at some point that you have interest in particular organizations, such as United Way of Southwest Alabama, when that organization posts a need, it will email you and say, hey, you're a fan of United Way of Southwest Alabama, and they just posted a need. We thought you might like to know. So you become the first person to know when an organization that you have become a fan of is posting for help. So you're the first one to get the memo.
I've selected several. And then your interest. What interest, talents, and skills do you have?
And again, this is just to help match you. We're not gonna like go through it and, you know, create a dossier on you or anything. We just want to make it possible for you to be presented with volunteer needs that may actually interest you. And remember if you've got family members or friends who are looking for ways to volunteer, they can do this too. It's really user friendly. It is accessible from your phone. If you go through the browser, just like you would go to any website. And so I'm just waiting to see where we are.
I've selected my interest,
Okay.
and then I got a message for a 4 that I've set up my account. I hope everyone is there. Okay,
If you're at all lost, let us know before we move into a couple of features that you might find helpful. And give me just a moment. I'm going to sign into my account so that I can look at what you're looking at. Because now we're registered. So let me switch browsers. If you'll give me just a second.
So it took me directly to United Way, Southwest Alabama.
To our regular website?
Just to our page and who we are. So I
Oh,
think
okay,
it
on
does
Volunteer
that.
Connect. Well, that's nice. Okay.
And as Brad was saying, up here in the top right corner, under the big banner right here, you can become a fan. And that's where, when you go to different agencies, you can become a fan. And so that way, you'll get that notice. Thanks for becoming a fan of whatever agency. And you will get notices from those agencies automatically when they have a new volunteer need or an event. So that's nice that you don't have to continue to look like, gosh, I'd love to go volunteer with United Way. What do they have going on?
And so why this is important, okay, when you respond to a need. So if you remember, we went back and we saw the whole list of needs. Now that Catherine has an account, she can respond to one of those needs. And it will do several things. It will email us, or whoever the agency is. We'll get an email notifying them that you are interested in volunteering. Which, if you're already working with us on our board or in one of our committees, you're saying, well, I'm already volunteering with you. Why do I have to sign up again? So here's the answer to that question. In order to, and some of you who work in the industrial or the legal sector may understand this natively, you have to be able to write time to a project. In the legal sense, you have to have billable hours to a client, right? So you can list hours that you volunteered not attached to a need. It's just not very helpful from a statistical standpoint. It basically says you volunteered and you're welcome to track volunteer hours with your church or some other organization that is not in the system. But it is most helpful to us if you're signed up, if we create a need called board service and you're on the board, or we create a need called county committee and you're on a county committee, or you're volunteering with the VITA program, when you sign up for that need, then when you go to report your time, you can write time to that specific project. And that way we know how many hours volunteers spent in those different programs. So all of this is just designed to help us get a better picture of our volunteer base and how much help we're getting. You know, there's a lot of grant money out there that says basically how much, you know, you are allowed to count volunteer hours as match. And so we need to do a better job of capturing that information and knowing how much time you're giving us as a collective group. And
I'm sorry, Brad.
no, go
Jill,
ahead.
Jill has a question or a comment that she would like to add.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was unmuting myself. So do we have something for our board members and our volunteers that are on different committees? Is there a need in there that they can, or is there a mode or whatever that they can go
I
to?
believe we've created the groups, but we couldn't add anybody to the groups until we had them have accounts.
Okay,
No.
well, can we walk them maybe through that too while we're doing this so we can show them?
Yes. I don't have the needs in the system yet because again, I had to have them in the system before I could add them to a private need. So what we will do is once we've created those needs, we will send you a direct link. And Catherine's kind of can show you how to respond to it. You can find one of the United Way needs, Catherine, and just show that screen. And then we'll send you a direct link as your groups are created, because what we want to do is create private needs. We don't want the general public signing up for your projects if they're specific to you as a member of a particular group. So
Okay, I just want to make sure that they have some place to go and we're not just telling them and it's not there. So thank you.
oh no, we will provide direct links to those needs and to those groups. And then what will happen is you'll also, when you browse, when you sign in, you'll be able to see them in your needs list. It'll populate just for you. So it's twofold, but we will put out links to specific, and then again, this will evolve. So for example, we may create a need called county committee meetings for Clark County. I'm just making something up. And we may put all the dates in there and you can register for the dates that you're coming. It will then send you reminders to remind you that you signed up for that meeting a few days prior, which is helpful. We want this to be helpful to you as well. We want it to be something where you think of it as a way to keep track of your volunteer service in and outside of United Way. And we want you to share that this is available with people you know, because volunteerism is only as strong as the community around us. And so if we can build that community, that's great. So what happens is, Catherine, I assume you've signed up for something?
I have not yet. That's what I kind of wanted to talk it over.
Go ahead, please do.
So as you can see, I selected needs over here in the far left corner. You can search things if you know, wow, I want to volunteer for dog organizations or whatever. Also, you can just scroll down, and these are the most recent needs that are out there, but you can also, sort things. Additionally, you can go directly to an agency here on the far left side as well. If you know specifically you want to volunteer for United Way, you can get those needs that way. So if we were just going here and you're just randomly going through, then I can see that United Way has an intern in marketing PR. So I'm going to look at the details and it will tell me what the description is and what is entailed in volunteering for that need. So I can respond.
Catherine?
Yes.
This is Gary Rim. I'm signed up and I'm ready to go. And I really need, I guess it's a question for Jill and Trista. When you go to agencies,
yes,
those aren't, you explained earlier that there's plenty of room to volunteer that are not United Way agencies.
correct.
Are we going to confuse dedicated volunteers that I didn't know we were supporting that? Is there something like United Way volunteers? Is there a way in the architecture that you can, Brad, that you might be able to segregate other agencies we encourage support of?
There is a way to do that. I think, let me see if it's still active. I think I had made a page like that. We took some things down in order to focus some of the spotlights on coronavirus stuff.
Right.
But there is a way.
I think we can probably do it by memo or email to the people that are signed in, the new sign-ins get a welcome to volunteer.
Yeah,
think
and
that
you can
get an
also,
email from them anyway, don't you?
yes. And
Well,
one of
put
the
that
things
in the
that you,
script. It's just, one of the things that it just caught me, and I'm sorry.
no, that's
jumped
okay.
in.
There is a page, by the way, that I knew I'd done it. It's if you go to volunteer.uwswa.org/partners, then it shows
Okay.
you the partner agencies. So again, I'm pretty sure we had that at one time posted as a main link. And with coronavirus, we have like 6 or 3 spotlights. So we tend to rotate what's on the main spotlight page. So but yes, that is definitely a thing. And we did create a page that does it because agencies are marked at whether they're a partner agency or not in the system. So we can
Thank
very
you.
easily do that.
Brad, did you say /partner or partners?
Hang on. Now that you said that, I typed it and don't even remember what I typed. Isn't that sad? I'm getting,
Well, you get to be my age, buddy.
I think I did partners.
Just put-
Yeah. And it should come up with an agencies page, but it should show only the partner agencies.
So I selected just on that main screen right now where I scroll down and saw that a need that I wanted from United Way. And I hit respond to need. And then it goes on, it tells me what my name is, that the need is ongoing. So it does not have a specific date. The agency name, it reminds me of who the agency is I've responded to and what my name is. So, and the need name is what I meant is it's a marketing and PR job. So additional volunteer information. I could say that I'm old and have memory problems.
And people often, are you talking about that?
Someone,
Sometimes people will write things like, I'm certified in CPR or
Right.
something that they want you to know. And that's fine. Most people don't feel anything in there, but some people do, and it's helpful. Give us a little insight into who's volunteering.
right. And all these, so you'll notice every once in a while throughout this program that there are question marks. So it'll give you little hints about what it's asking for. So I'm going to hit submit need, and this will go to all the people at United Way, which includes Brad and me and Leslie, who posted this, and we will get notice that someone responded to our need, and it'll give us all their information that they registered, their telephone number, email, name, exact, all that. Another way you can go is go directly to agencies here on the side, and you can go through all our agencies. So for instance, we'll pick AIDS Alabama South. They're one of our partner agencies. I'm going to become a fan, so I'll make sure I get notified. Also, it tells us what they do, and here are their needs. This is another way so I went directly to the agency, and then here are the needs that they have listed. I'm not going to hit that because I don't want them to wonder who we are, who my crazy person is. Practice user.
Practice user. Thank you, practice. That's very helpful, practice. No, but it's a good thing to know. And so what then happens is that Catherine would be able to go, let's say that Catherine has now been serving as a marketing intern for a week. And so now you can see there's
I'm back. Yes, at the main screen, you'll see up here in the corner, in the top corner, a little round circle. And PU, those are my initials.
Practice user, right? So yours will be your initials. And when you click there, that's one place. There's a few places you can do it, but it's called what? Time tracking?
Add hours.
Add hours. That's right. Time tracking is on our side. I get confused because we have 3 different sets of screens we look at, whether we're a user, an agency manager, or a system manager. So sometimes my brain trying to remember which ones are where, they use a little bit different terminology, but you can
Yeah,
add
so
hours.
Yeah, so at the top it says return to our website, and that means United Way website because we're the host of this program. Volunteer, you can just go back to finding volunteer needs. I admit Leslie. Add hours, or you can do it here in the drop-down menu where it says track hours.
And either one of
Both
those
the
is going to
same.
get you to the same place.
Yes. So add hours. Are these hours in reference to a need you responded to on this site?
Remember, I said that it's really helpful if we can write time to a specific project. If you say no to that question, it will still let you put, I picked up leaves at my church for an hour, and it will let you do anonymous hours. But it's always helpful to know where those hours have come from, if possible, and that they can be verified. So in this case, we would say, yes, they're related to a need.
And then I can hit the scroll down, select need, and it is going to populate all the needs that I have responded to. So I responded to this intern marketing and PR. I'm going to click on that. It shows the date I responded. Uh-oh. Did I do that? Yep. And then it's going to take me to this screen, and I started it today and I ended it today. Let's see. Never mind. And then I'm going to hit go. I don't track my hours very often. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Did it do something weird? Because normally it just
It
pops up.
did.
Normally it just pops up a little thing where you list how many hours
Right.
and
Okay.
optionally how many miles if you want. If you're, by the way, you'll be able to generate a report for yourself. So some people track their volunteer mileage for tax purposes. If you drive in service for a nonprofit organization, you're allowed to deduct, I think it's 14, I should know this, 14 cents a mile, I believe it is. And so you can generate a volunteer resume, which we'll get to in a minute. And if you choose to track your mileage, you can. Did we get back there?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
So I put in a description, provide a brief description of your volunteer experience. So to help Leslie Schrader with United Way Marketing. And I put the hours that I worked and the date I worked. And then I'm going to submit my hour entry.
And then what that will do, it will ask us as an agency to verify, did you really work those hours, or did you just say that? I will tell you, the University of South Alabama uses a companion system to this called South Serves, and they really require their students, or really ask their students, to track those hours. So our agencies are getting used to verifying hours. Some are more conscientious about it than others just because they've had more experience and had to do it. But basically it just validates your hours and says, so we would approve them if Catherine worked those hours.
Yeah, so you can see here this little clock on the far right says pending approval. And then I can edit my hours if I've made a mistake. And you want me to show them a volunteer resume?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because
I
some
go
people
back to my profile, correct?
Yes, I think you can get it from your profile, or you can get it from, yes, you should be able to get it from your profile. And what's really great, this is really useful for those of you who have connections who are in school. A lot of times students need service hours, and this is a great way for them to not have to remember, now, when did I work on such and such a project? When was that? They can track it as they go. And then when you do a volunteer resume, you specify a date range that you want to cover, and it shows everything you did.
Right. So as you'll see, when I get from up here, I selected view profile. And then you have how it shows my name and when I joined and how many hours I've volunteered. I can edit my profile. I can also track hours from here. I can look at the needs that I've responded to, all those types of things, the causes that I chose early on, and my interest that I
And
chose.
once we add you to a group or more than one group, you should have a My Groups tab. We haven't done that yet because we couldn't add you to a group until you have an account in the system. So now that you have an account in the system, we can add you to groups so that you can see private needs. And as I say, so there'll be a My Groups tab where you can see what groups you're a member of.
All right, so for my volunteer resume, I'm just going to select today, but you can select, well, it's a year. So it'll show August 3rd, 2020 to current, and I'll hit go, and you can select any one you want. And dun, 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 dun.
It takes a second, but it should generate a PDF.
Maybe oh, here it is. It does. I need to move.
It takes a second because it's got to do it in the cloud and then get it to you. So it takes a second.
Let's see if I can. There we go. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So it has my name, my volunteer resume from one date to the next. This one is not very impressive, but and it tells you the value of your volunteer time. So those 5 hours that I volunteered with United Way, the value was $126. And that automatically populates from the Alabama value of volunteers, which currently is $25.25 an hour. And it shows how many how many needs I responded to and how many agencies I'm a fan of and what the interest, all that's put in there.
So
it's a beautiful, nice little 2-pager.
And again, if you're from our perspective, what's great about it is Catherine just pointed out to you the value of those hours. Now, obviously, we will delete those because we don't want to inflate our value with fake users and fake hours. But for your time volunteering, it's great to be able to say when we are applying for things, these are volunteer hours that can be used as matching funds. And there are grants that do allow that. So that's why we want to keep track of it and make sure that we have kept up with these things in a consistent way. So does anybody have any questions before I get into sort of next steps? It's really meant to be a user-friendly system. Having seen systems that are not user-friendly, from the moment we got this one, I really loved it. We've had it since 2014. So I guess we've had it going on 7 years now. Just curious, how many of you, maybe in the chat, how many of you didn't know this was a thing until we asked you about it? Did everybody know about Volunteer Connect, or were some of you maybe not aware? And that's, I used to work for the radio reading service for the blind, and we used to say we're the best kept secret in town, but I think there are a lot of those. People didn't know there was a way to go and look all this stuff up. So our next steps are, we are on the back end of the system. We're going to create groups for committees and the board and various other projects that involve groups of people who are committed to those projects. And the reason we want to create groups is there are needs, as I kind of alluded to earlier, that we don't want to put out there for the general public to sign up for. If I create a need for tax preparers to come work a shift, I need to know that those are volunteers who have been certified by the IRS. So I just can't I can put a need out there for the general public to sign up that they're interested in tax preparation, but I don't necessarily want the general public to just say, I'm coming on Thursday at 11 a.m. to help you do taxes, and I know nothing about you. So we create private needs. and we can create a private need that is accessible only to a particular group. We couldn't put you in a group until you had an account. And that's why we wanted you to create an account in the system so that now we can put you in the groups that you serve in for United Way. You will have the option at that point when you're tracking hours, as Catherine showed you, you'll be able to say, so let's say that, I'm just going to make something up. Let's say that you are serving as a board member, but you're also on the Mobile County Committee. Or maybe you're also on Women United. Maybe you're with the Women United group. So you can be in more than one group, and you can indicate whether your hours should be considered part of one or the other if you're doing a project under the auspices of one group or the other. So you'll be able to select the group that you want those hours counted towards if you so desire. But the main thing is we'll be able to create private needs that are accessible only to your group members to track those hours and write your time to.
One thing I also wanted to point out is, let's go back to AIDS Alabama. That's their first partner that we see. It tells you who you are and everything, who they are. Also, all their contact information is here, which is another handy tool to have.
Catherine, we can't see your screen.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Hold on. I apologize. I think here I am. I apologize.
There we go.
All right. So I chose AIDS Alabama, and along their main page, you will see what their causes are, but you also see their contact information. If you have wanting to know who the volunteer person at a specific agency, this is the best place to get it. Because we know they have listed Jarvis Tunstall as their person for Volunteer Connect. So they are obviously most likely the person that can answer your questions about volunteering. Anything else along that area that you can think of, Brad?
I think I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I was just gonna wrap by saying, if you are out in the community and you're talking with people, make sure to let them know that this is a thing. Volunteer Connect is only as good. And I'm really impressed that there are 188 projects in it. I know I'm a fan of every agency, so I see whenever people post things. But it's still interesting to see that number be that high. It really says that there's a huge need for volunteers out there. And so if you're speaking at an event or a rally or anything like that, be sure and let people know, especially in environments where you think volunteerism is going to be high, that this resource is out there. It doesn't cost anything to use. And most of the needs are in Mobile County, but you may have noticed the Arc of Clark County has some needs listed, and there are a handful of other organizations in the other counties that do post needs. And what a great way to show them that it's worth doing than to have someone in their area volunteer for that project. So wherever you happen to be, you see a lot of people, we all do. And as a collective, we certainly all talk to a lot of people. And so to be able to refer people to this and say, this is something that the United Way provides to this community, it costs nothing for you to join it. And it has a wealth of resources. The other thing it has, and we didn't really talk about this, but it has a happenings feature. Catherine, you want to flip over to happenings for just 2 seconds?
Yes, and then we can show them the calendar.
Yes, the calendar is great because the happenings and the needs that are date specific all show up on the calendar. So happenings are things where you don't need volunteers, but you want to promote an event to the public. And you can have something that is both. I tell people you can have a golf tournament that's listed as a volunteer need where you need people to sell t-shirts or serve concessions or whatever it is. And you can also list it as a happening that you want people to sign up to participate in. Happenings can or don't have to, but they can have an RSVP feature where people can say, yes, I'm coming. It can be used
So here,
as, pardon?
I picked up Victory Health Partner Lunch
Uh-huh.
Tour with Dr. Lightfoot. And that is on August 10th at noon. And it has a description of what's going to happen on August 10th. And it clearly says RSVP by calling Kim or send an email.
And they can choose to use the RSVP function in the system where you can hit an RSVP button and it'll send them an email as well. But they chose to do it a different way, which the agencies choose what works best for them. We don't write their needs. We give them feedback if we think that we see something that might help them get more volunteers or more attendance. So these are things that are not asking for volunteers. They just want to let people know. And we tell our agencies, if you post your stuff here, then if I am looking to host an event, I can check the calendar that Catherine was talking about and say, gosh, there are 18 things on August the 10th. I might not want to do my event that day. And so the calendar, or maybe August the 8th, or maybe August the 10th is a great day. There's a lunch from Victory, and that may be the only thing showing that day, and I could do my event from 6 to 9. So it kind of serves as a community calendar, and it also shows dates that people have date-specific volunteer projects. It won't show the ongoing ones because it would clutter the calendar with all these ongoing needs, but the ones that are date-specific and the happenings that are date-specific will show up on the calendar.
So Brad, when you click the calendar up here on the top, black ribbon, it'll show you the calendar. The first one that pops up, of course, is the current month. And going back to the August 10th, there's our Victory event, and I'll hover over it, and it'll tell me what it is. Also, right below that, there's a hammer with help sort clothing. So that is a need that Fostering Together Gulf Coast has on that day from 10 to 2. So it's a very, it's a great tool. There's also on the 14th, this is the book. I'm not sure what the book, oh, it shows that it's an education event.
Yeah, the icons are to show you the interest area, the primary area of interest. What I love about the calendar, and I think it's one of the most underutilized features of this software, is I'll get a call from somebody saying, hey, we've got a church group coming in on Saturday, and we need to know what kind of volunteer projects might be available. And we can check a date and say, okay, well, it won't show us the ongoing stuff, but it will give us some date-specific events, which a lot of times works for church groups or youth groups or key clubs and that kind of thing. So I think sometimes we forget about the calendar, but it's one of the most, it's a great way to find those date-specific projects and events.
Right, and you can also look at the calendar just with volunteer needs or just happenings. So if you are planning an event for the United Way of Southwest Alabama or another organization, and y'all are saying, gosh, I'd like to plan an event on the 13th of August, well, you can see this Friday, there is an event already happening with Little Sisters of the Poor, but it's at 9 a.m. So my event's going to be later, so we won't conflict. So that's another incredible way of using the calendar. Or you can share both.
All right, guys. Well, we're approaching the end of our hour.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions for Brad or Catherine?
It's a lot.
I just want to say thank you all for taking time to do this. We will send out group information to you so that you can register for your group and start tracking your hours. This is very important to us and we appreciate y'all doing it. Thank you to Brad and Catherine and Trista for hosting this. If you have questions, do not call me. Call Catherine or Brad. Catherine and Brad, type in your phone numbers and email addresses so everybody knows how to get you. they can help you. And we do want to see you all use this. The more we use this, the better we're going to be at it. And also tracking events, and just we need to make sure we get this out to the community better so that people know when they're looking for something to do, whether it's volunteering or something to do on a weeknight or a weekend, that they can go to this community calendar. Thank you all so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and we appreciate you.
Okay. Yes, thank you
you.
all. I have put, let's see. I have a poll, but it's telling me my poll doesn't work. So I can't gauge your feedback and participation, but hopefully all of you found this training helpful, and you will share this information with others like Brad had asked. And as Jill mentioned in the chat, especially those of you that have students that need volunteer hours. This is a great resource. So, all right, well, Catherine has put her information in the chat, and it's also listed on the agenda that I shared with everybody through that OneDrive link.
I'm having
So-
trouble getting my screen reader back, so I'm not able to type for you. So I apologize. I got to figure out why my computer won't talk to me. It's mad at me.
I got you. I'll put your email in the chat.
Thank you, because that's usually the best way to reach me, because I'm always often at a tax site and not at my desk.
Catherine beat me to it. So again, thank you all. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's see.
Mm.